for a father to experience what I just experienced. So you've had the chance to meet one of my remarkable sons. Hopefully some of you will have the chance to meet Alex and Louis. My sons also have phenomenal life partners and beautiful, brilliant children. It has been one of life's blessings to see them build families and careers and grow into the caring, loving human beings they are. And yes, my mom is here. The best damn first grade teacher they ever had in Cranford and Metuchen, New Jersey. And she and I also bless the memory of my dad, who really would have enjoyed himself immensely this evening. And saving the most important family thank you for last, my most important relationship in life, which as Dan mentioned, was formed here on this very campus. My life partner, Patricia Ann Jurevich, we've been together 50 years this January. She's dealing with an overwhelming health challenges that made it impossible to be here to witness her Danny introducing me. And the rest of the Jurevich-Acklesberg brood that she has nurtured so magnificently. You probably don't want to hear this, but I gotta say, the romance started actually in the law school. She was an undergrad who I still don't know how they did this. She and another undergrad themselves wrote the grant to create the first child care center at Rutgers University. I think she was a first year at that time. And anyway, they got the grant, and it was being built at Boynton Pearl. I don't know if that building is still there. The same building that Camden Regional Legal Services was in. But while they were building it, they temporarily set up the new Rutgers Daycare Center in the law school, in the student lounge that wasn't being used. Now, this school was a lot smaller. That building was just that one building. And my second year, it was amazing. There were all these kids running around. They were making friends with the law students. And I was romancing during nap time. It was really something. There are other relationships. There's really circles of relationshiip that I have to mention here. There are some former directors of Community Legal Services who are also former Philbrook awardees who are here, and it's not just it's not hyperbole. Community Legal Services, I submit, is the best place in America to learn how to be a lawyer among fellow justice seekers, helping each other find courage to strive for excellence and to model for our children what meaningful work looks like. My present work colleagues from Langer, Grogan, and Diver are here, where we have built together a small litigation boutique, taking on the bullies and fraudsters in the marketplace. I didn't think it was possible to find a professional home after CLS, but in the last 18 years, I've continued to grow as a lawyer. More recently, as I become more caretaker than lawyer, you at my new home have made it possible for me to imagine what my own kind of retirement might look like. Slowing down a little, but contributing where I can. And let me turn to a few of my fellow students from Rutgers Law School during the period 1973 to 76 that are here, some from far away, some from not so far away, but it's really, you're really doing me an honor to be here with me. And it just makes me think of what legal education looked like back then, and what the world looked like outside the campus. Back then, the world was on fire, then too. American-made bombs and napalm were incinerating villages, children. Down the street from here, amazingly brave activists against that inhumanity who had attempted to break into the Camden Selective Service Office had just been acquitted in the Camden 28 conspiracy trial. The Trumpian Frank Rizzo ruled Philadelphia, humiliating those seeking racial justice, even using the power of city government to block the construction of affordable housing in South Philly, an effort that a few years later, Community Legal Services stopped with an injunction in federal court. I have to say, there was remarkably little attention to any of that in the law school program here. Not even a mention of the Camden 28. I don't recall any connection between the law school and the birthing of the national affordable housing movement that was happening at Point and Pearl at Camden Regional Legal Services. There was no public interest program. Now, that wasn't just a deficiency at Rutgers. That was legal education in America. The whole public interest world was just starting to be built in the early 1970s. Very few courses offering anything other than the traditional common law casebook education, very little focus on the real world in which we live, and the role of lawyers, not only as agents of change, but let's be frank, as the mechanics who construct and maintain systems of exploitation and oppression. Now, there were exceptions. I can't believe it. Professor Rosenblatt is still here. He taught me one of the only courses I remember. It was an income security course. It was about basically the birthing of welfare law that was happening in legal services offices and in the Supreme Court. There was no public interest office to counsel us on the positive, life-affirming ways to use the law degree to find careers in finding the cure for some form of injustice. Back then, those few of us that were here to learn how to make good trouble, to use John Lewis's term, were kind of on our own to figure out a professional path and resist the offered temptations to sell our souls. Now, in school, I thought I'd find work at the public defenders, but ended up at CLS largely by the fortuitous character of the job market at the moment. I knew a little bit about CLS. I volunteered one summer in their public housing unit in West Philly, but I had no awareness of the history of the legal services movement that came out of the civil rights movement and the war on poverty. CLS was young then. There were a few lawyers and paralegals who seemed to know what they were doing, but we were largely working off the seat of our pants, trying to figure out ways to help the people lining up every day, whose benefit checks had just been cut off, whose houses were in foreclosure, whose kids had been taken because they had no heat in the house. But man, a lot has changed in the public interest sector in law schools today. I really enjoyed the time I spent Monday with a room full of idealistic law students proud to identify themselves as public interest law students, touring the beautiful experiential learning floor. I mean, I was amazed. A whole floor. I even spotted a shelf full of the National Consumer Law Center treatises that are the guidebooks to consumer justice. So let me end by just giving, it's a little pep talk. I got a few suggestions for some research and teaching proposals. Number one, how about a seminar on private equity? First, how it works. You shouldn't have to go to business school to learn the basics of structured finance. It's ruling America, it's ruining America. We need to understand how it all works. For me, the breakthrough, as Dan mentioned, was finally getting to understand how Wall Street was basically fueling all that equity theft going on in North Philadelphia. It didn't make any sense until I started learning that. But also to think through liability theories to address not only its rapacious destruction of critical societal functions like nursing homes and emergency rooms, but its financial support for so-called innovations in developing new ways to extract income and wealth from struggling low and moderate income families. And how about a seminar on the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau? How it came to be, starting with a law review article by then Professor Elizabeth Warren, the Dodd-Frank Act that made it law, and the Trumpers' attempt to kill not only anything it does, but its very existence. And then you could use it as a springboard to learn about the businesses they've taken on and the new ones they should be taking on. I had another idea. You know how the libraries, a lot of librarians today are running promotions and special programs on banned books, right? Well, what I think this law school and every law school that has the guts to do it should introduce a course that probably has never ever even existed, called critical race theory. How about that? I also suggest student research papers on the trade associations that are killing the structures and the legal doctrines that underpin justice. The Federalist Society, the Chamber of Commerce, and coming up with strategies for organizing the long fight back. But in closing, I'd like to just say a few words to all you law students. With your professional future standing before you, waiting to be formed. Just a few, now this is like the commencement speech, right? So it's, find satisfying work. It may seem obvious, but the temptations to lead you astray are powerful. Forget those law firm signing bonuses. In my day, many good people had to take that path because of the student loan burden. But let's face it, the Public Service Loan Forgiveness Program, which didn't exist when I was starting out, is a heck of a lot more valuable than a job that will drain your soul. And find good people to work with who can help you think through problems, who you can trust to read your stuff and keep you from embarrassing yourself, but who can also challenge you when it's necessary to have the courage to risk that embarrassment. And if you can, find a partner to raise the next generation of justice seekers. And then maybe, just maybe at the twilight of your career, you can have a night like you've gifted me. Thank you, Rutgers, for this recognition. And deep thanks to all of you for being here to share this moment with me tonight. Thank you.